People often say that some questions are easily answerable, but some other questions aren't so easily answered. Like, will we ever see a Suikoden sequel? Why hasn't EA remastered the Mass Effect trilogy yet? Why hasn't anyone made a good Harry Potter RPG? Is Death Stranding really Metal Gear Zero? And most importantly, why are we still here? Just to suffer? However, the questions that we're concerned with today aren't nearly as lofty as that. In this feature, we're going to take a look at 15 times developers left unanswered mysteries in their video games. Do note that there might be spoilers ahead. Ghost Lady. We've spoken a great deal about the swamps in Red Dead Redemption 2 over the past few weeks, and about how freaky they are, and one of the reasons that we've brought that up on a few occasions is the Ghost Lady in the swamps. Her melancholic cries and wails sound chilling as they drift through the fog and hit your ears, and watching her from a distance and then suddenly vanishing as you begin to approach her is truly frightening, as is her manic dialogue that seems to hold no meaning at first glance. So far, we can't say we know anyone who's been able to figure out just who or what the Ghost Lady is, and that just makes her even scarier than those damn alligators. Oh, also, has anyone seen Gavin? How did Kratos get here? God of War. Kratos had a very clearly defined arc in the Greek era of the God of War franchise, and over the course of 6 games, we were able to learn everything there was to learn about his past, his present, and how his arc ended. Then God of War 2018 came along and changed everything, bringing him into a new setting where he had apparently been for many years, and who knows how many. Had a son, had a wife who had just died, and much more that we didn't know about. The intervening time between the ending of God of War 3 and the beginning of God of War 2018 is a complete question mark right now, and though there are several hints in the game for us to dive into, there's no clear answer. Yet. What happened to Diamond Dogs? Metal Gear Solid 5. To be honest, half of this list could have been populated by mysteries raised in the Phantom Pain, but the one that everyone was hoping to see answered, the one that would have connected Big Boss's past with where he ends up in Metal Gear 1, was the biggest one. It's not a stretch to assume after the conclusion of the Phantom Pain, eventually Big Boss ordered Venom Snake and his soldiers at Diamond Dogs to be merged with Outer Haven, but that is exactly what it is, an assumption. Sure, it's the only logical assumption, but it's the one that we're forced to make, because the game itself never bothered telling us how or why that happened. There's a big gap between the end of the Phantom Pain and the beginning of Metal Gear 1 that fans have to fill in themselves. W.D. Gaster, Undertale. Oh, Undertale, you beautiful, eccentric, bizarre masterpiece, you. This is a game that revels in pulling the rug out from under you, but when it comes to the mystery of W.D. Gaster, there is no rug. Thanks to a bunch of dialogue in the game, as well as information gathered from the game's files themselves, fans have managed to gather that W.D. Gaster, a skeleton scientist who used to fiddle around with space-time experiments, and one experiment caused him to meld with a continuum in unimaginable ways, so that now he's more an entity than anything else. But who or what he is and what bearing he has on the weird world of Undertale is something that we haven't been able to figure out. Is he the man in black near the waterfall? What's the deal with the Gaster followers? Why can't we type in his name at the beginning of the game? Please tell us, Toby Fox. We're begging you. Diglett and Dugtrio, Pokemon. Often people say that it's best to not think about the critters we come across in the Pokemon games too much. But when you come across something like Diglett or its evolution Dugtrio, how can you not? What do they look like beneath the ground? All we've ever seen of them is, well, let's call them finger-like shapes, or 3 fingers in the case of Dugtrio. But what are they under the ground? Do they have roots in the soil? Do they merge with the ground? Would they die if they were removed from the ground? And how have the entire world's seismic plates not been completely destroyed if there are so many Digletts and Dugtrios out there burying their way through all of it? The implications of Ditto, Pokemon. Perhaps the freakiest Pokemon of all time is Ditto. It can take on the form of any other Pokemon ever. Sounds like a cool concept, right? Well, it is, but then you think about it and go, wait a second, if Ditto can truly take on the form of any Pokemon ever, how do you ever know that the Pokemon you just saw was actually that Pokemon? That it wasn't just another Ditto? Why haven't Dittos been militarized by those evil scientists who created Mewtwo, or used in numbers by the likes of Team Rocket and Team Galactic to help bring their machinations to fruition? Are there any limits to what a Ditto can do? I'll tell you what, if there was ever a post-apocalyptic story set in the world of Pokemon, Ditto would be right at the center of everything. Children of Goldenshire, World of Warcraft. Given just how massive World of Warcraft is and how much content it has in general, with more that is being constantly added on, there are a lot of mysteries in the game that Blizzard have left unanswered. but perhaps the one that bugs us the most is the one relating to the children of Goldenshire. This group of 6 freaky children can be found in Goldenshire, as the name suggests, and occasionally in Elwyn Forest. At very specific times in the game, these children move to very specific locations, stand around in a pentagram-like formation, and then just keep standing there, silently, before once again, at a very specific time, they just leave their positions and go back home. What's this all about? Where is the Queen? Alien Isolation. When you see eggs of xenomorphs for the first time in Alien Isolation, you don't think much about it at first, but then the realization dawns upon you. If the xenomorph that's been chasing you around is just a drone, that means that they can't lay eggs, and if there are eggs, then there has to be a queen, which means the queen is close by. But where is she? Is she still alive? Is she involved in some way that hasn't been able to be figured out yet? Will she pop up at any moment to scare the crap out of you? It isn't a mystery that has been answered yet, but part of us is kind of glad for that. If a drone is that terrifying, what would it be like to run into the queen? GMan, Half-Life. GMan is perhaps one of the most mysterious and enigmatic characters we've ever seen in any video game. Everything from his past, to his intentions, to his allegiances are completely unknown. He can lead Gordon Freeman to the doorstep of certain death at one moment, and then lead him to absolute safety the next. He offers us a job under the most ridiculous and bizarre circumstances, and constantly alludes to his own line of work in the vaguest way possible. Every single time he appears, you don't know what to expect from him, and he can appear at the most unpredictable moments possible, and then promptly disappear in equally unpredictable fashion. There's a lot about G-Man that we do not know, but that's fine. We'll get all of the answers to all of our questions when Half-Life 3 comes out, in the year 3333. It's definitely happening. Timeline placement: The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is a question that tortures Zelda fans with every new entry in the series, but never has it been more pertinent than it is with Breath of the Wild. Here at GamingBolt, we've spoken a great deal about the timeline splits and about how Breath of the Wild can fit into any one or neither of Zelda's timelines. And that's because the game is purposefully designed that way. It is purposefully vague about which timeline it fits into and alludes to all possibilities on different occasions. Recently, Nintendo confirmed that they would never reveal which timeline the game falls into, that it is something that it wants to leave up to the imagination of the fans. And honestly, if you ask me, that just means Nintendo doesn't know itself and just wants us to all stop asking about it. Ghost Town, Grand Theft Auto 3. The ghost town of Grand Theft Auto 3 with the Liberty City Bank is an area that we see in a cutscene, but within the actual game itself isn't accessible. It's placed off to the side of the map by Rockstar where players can't get to it, and it has bugged fans for many, many years. The obvious answer is that the area was just created for the purpose of a very particular section of the game and wasn't meant to be traversed, but that hasn't stopped people from asking, why? Why is this area, which seems to be much more detailed than the rest of the game and clearly seems to be an important location, not part of the main game and its open world? The Black Monolith, Fez. The mystery surrounding the Black Monolith in Fez is a little different from all of the other mysteries we've included in this feature, because it's more of a puzzle than it is a mystery, and also because it's been solved by players of the game. The Black Monolith is the key to getting one of the 3 red cubes in the game, but solving the puzzle surrounding it is no easy task. It took Fez fans months to figure out what it was, and how to solve it, and stands as one of the most interesting things in a game that is already extremely innovative and fascinating. Shadow People, Super Mario Galaxy 2. Nintendo just loves teasing its fans with mysteries and then never answering any of their questions. Although to be fair, I doubt anyone at Nintendo would have figured that what are essentially little more than textures in the background of one very particular area in one very particular level would have been the subject of so many theories. The Shadow People of Hell Valley, as they're called, are weird, freaky-looking figures that can be seen in the distance at the beginning of the Shiverburn Galaxy level, and other than that, they never appear again. Fans have been convinced that there is some greater meaning attached to them, and that they might have some implications on Mario lore that Nintendo is refusing to go into. Nintendo, on the other hand, has never really brought up the Shadow People ever again. Deepsea Book, Super Mario Sunshine. But there's more! The Shadow People of Hell Valley are far from being the only mysteries that Mario games have left unanswered, if they can even be called mysteries. In Noki Bay in Super Mario Sunshine during a certain level, players find a strange-looking rock formation next to a door deep underwater. Well, deep enough, with the door standing slightly ajar. Look inside and you can see a book. Just a book, lying there innocently, out of reach behind a door that you can't open all of the way. All you can do is look at it and wonder, What is this book? Who put it there? Why hasn't being underwater completely destroyed it? What does it do? What horrible things does that book do that someone had to put it underwater beyond a door that cannot be opened next to a strange rock formation? Why are you like this, Nintendo? Useless Pillar, Donkey Kong 64. Oh look, another Nintendo game, with another mystery that in all likeliness isn't even a mystery and has been making fans go crazy over it for years while Nintendo just shrugs and thinks, we don't know what it is, please stop asking us. The creepy castle in Donkey Kong 64 has a particular room inside of it that is basically useless. It goes nowhere, it does nothing, it holds nothing, well, almost nothing, because positioned very deliberately in the room is a pillar, a very ornate pillar whose design and placement are literally screaming for the player's attention. No matter what you do, no matter how many ways you interact with it, it just does nothing. Why is it there? No one knows, well, other than Nintendo, which means no one is ever going to know. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.